Hey everybody, it's Nick, the Thirsty Explorer here, and today I'm going to share with you some tips on prepping for a trip to Japan. As you probably already know, Japan has become a global hotspot for travel the last couple of years. A rich culture and history, amazing food, great shopping, car spotting, anime. There's literally something for everybody to do there. But if we're being honest, a weak Japanese yen and competitive flight prices have made it much more attractive for budget travelers like myself to book a vacation. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, I assume you are going to Japan or you're at least looking into it. And in your research, you're going to find a lot of videos that say this is the best restaurant, or this is the local hotspot, or this is how you navigate Disney or Universal. I'm not here to tell you that. Well, not yet at least. What I'm here to share with you today is the hours and hours of research that I've done prepping for a trip to Japan. Things like how to navigate the train system, or how to get data on your phone, or just other general knowledge that will be helpful in your travels. So, without further ado, here are some of my top tips for traveling to Japan. Tip number one, use jet lag to your advantage. If you're traveling like me from North America into Japan, you're going to be waking up pretty early for the first couple days. So use that to get there early. I mean, attractions or places that are going to attract a lot of people, just get there before everybody else. So for us, we usually like to plan things like, say, Disney on one of the first few days that we're in Japan, because that means we can get there, get in line first, and get on some of those attractions before everybody else gets there. Now, speaking of attractions, my number one recommendation or app to download to help navigate is Klook. Klook is super, super helpful because it shows you attractions and events and helps you actually book the trains like the Shinkansen. It's super easy to use. You can connect your credit card. It holds your tickets for you there so you can just show them and or scan them. And it's a helpful place to store all of your itinerary for the attractions and events that you're going to be attending. I highly recommend using the Klook app, and you can use it on your desktop as well, but download it on your phone for your trip so you have it ready when you're going to these attractions. You can also use Klook to book your Shinkansen tickets if you're traveling between Tokyo and Osaka or anywhere else that's on the bullet train route. And it's super helpful because if you've been to the JR website, it's a little daunting to say the least. Klook allows you to pick your seats, pick what train cars you want, and it allows you to reserve a Mount Fuji view seat. So depending on which way you're traveling, it'll put you on the correct side of the train to make sure you get that view. And if you are taking the Shinkansen, I really highly recommend that you forward your bags from your hotel or a courier service. A lot of hotels will offer this. So in my situation, we were traveling from Osaka to Tokyo, and we actually had our hotel forward our luggage the day before we got on the Shinkansen, and it arrived at our new hotel in Tokyo the day that we got there. It was super convenient, and it meant that we didn't have to lug our bags through train stations and on the Shinkansen. And speaking of baggage, if your airline ticket allows for it, I would highly suggest bringing an empty piece of luggage with you to Japan. Most likely, if you're like me, you're going to be bringing back a lot of gifts and souvenirs. So packing an empty bag to bring with you so you can fill it up on the way back is a really smart move. Now let's talk about the trains for a minute. The train system in Japan runs like clockwork, but it can be a little scary. There's a lot of trains and there's even more people running through those train stations. But this video I found when researching the train system a couple years ago from Bright Trip is thorough, easy to follow, and easy to understand. Check the link below in the description. Go give that a view because you won't regret it. Now I'll also say that Google Maps is your friend. Just like at home, or for me in North America, I use Google Maps whenever I'm trying to navigate, and there's no exception in Japan. You put where you want to go, it'll take you there and it'll show you all the different routes. It'll show you all the timetables and it'll tell you what platforms to go to and how to navigate to each of those. You'll probably find some other videos that recommend getting a JR pass. Now, in the research that I did, it is kind of overpriced and it really only pays itself off if you're taking the Shinkansen multiple times in a trip. The other thing to note is that Tokyo and all through Japan, their trains are run by multiple owners and operators. So if you buy a JR pass, that's only good for JR trains. and only taking JR trains could be a little bit inconvenient for your trip. So my recommendation is not even to buy a day pass or week passes. It's just get your Suica or ICOCA or Pasmo card and load that up at the train stations as you need it. And you can use that pass on all of the local train system. Doesn't matter who the owner or operator is. But make sure you bring cash, because at the train stations, you can only load those train cards with cash. But the other advantage to them is you can use them at convenience stores. So get that egg salad sandwich. Just don't eat it on the train. Yep, that's right. Don't eat on the trains. Don't eat on the street. Don't eat while you're walking. Just respect the culture. I'm sure you've seen this in your research from other videos. Is Japanese people do not eat in the street. They don't eat while they're walking. They don't eat out in public. So just follow the lead. Don't be one of those tourists. Now, on the topic of food, you're going to see a lot of videos, like I mentioned earlier, about which hotspots to go to and where you should eat. But the thing with those restaurants is they're all blown out now. You're going to go there and you're going to have to wait in line for an hour. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it'll be worth it, but sometimes it's not. Fluffy pancakes. But one of the best tips I got about traveling in Tokyo and in Japan is if you find that restaurant that has an hour lineup around the block, odds are there's another one that's just as good, if not better, around the corner from there. Use Google Maps, use Yelp, and if you're in a certain area and you're craving a certain type of food, just go on and say, best izakaya in my area, or best sushi near me, and Google Maps will help you out. Japan also has a lot of great street food. And you'll find a lot of videos tell you, make sure you bring cash. Nobody accepts credit cards. Well, it's partly true. If you're going to street food vendors, I mean, you probably should have cash on you, but that's kind of like back home too. Some street food vendors only take cash. In Japan, the convenience stores, the restaurants, most places will take credit card. Except, like I said earlier, with the train stations, you will have to load your Suica card or Pasmo card with cash. Now let's talk a little bit about phone plans. My biggest tip is don't get a data plan that has phone included, because if you have data, you can just use something like WhatsApp to make phone calls back home. And it acts just like a regular phone plan. With Airalo, it's super easy to go on their site. They have a ton of informational videos on how to set up your eSIM, depending on what type of phone you have, and how to get it going prior to your arrival. Now, if you're wondering how much data you should get, I'd say for a 2-week trip, 20 gigs should be fine. That'll allow you enough space for navigating the trains, looking up restaurants, and things like that. But just make sure you connect to Wi-Fi whenever you have the chance. Now, I will say, when myself and my wife and our kids go, I'll get the 20 gig plan because I do most of the navigating. My wife will get 10 gigs and we'll get 5 to 10 gigs for my son on his phone. Now here's a little shopping tip for you to save a bit of money. If you're buying something in Japan that you don't plan on using there, like say a kitchen knife, you can get duty free on that. You can do that at the airport, or some stores offer it, like Don Quixote, the best store in the world. But for us, when we were buying some kitchen knives in Ginza, the store owner told us to go a few stores down, and there was actually somewhere that would do your duty free right there on the spot. These stores will do a tax redemption and they'll just give you your money back right on the spot. But they will seal that product up so you can't use it on your trip. And the last tip, and this goes for any country if you're a tourist traveling there, is just learn some greetings, learn how to say a few things. Can I order some water, or how do I find the nearest bathroom? Just generally a good way to go about traveling through a country or a city you've never been to that speaks another language. Well, there you have it. My tips on preparing for a trip to Japan. Make sure you check the description below because I'm going to have some more helpful links for you to do some more prep. And most important thing, have fun.